Like a little intro about myself. So I'm Shanthana Bhasuru. I'm from Telangana. Like I was actually born in the US. Then I came here in 10th grade. And I got a score of 680 in NEET 2021. And my all India rank was 867. And I joined AIIMS. And so far it's going nice. Like it's a really good college here. Yeah, really nice opportunities. So yeah, it's a good decision I've made. Yeah. So like bachpan se like I've been interested in like helping others, and like I wanted to, like in sixth grade, what personal incident happened to me was my grandmother passed away like suddenly due to cardiac arrest. So that was really an emotional and like a hard hitting incident for me, because I was really close to my grandmother. Like she used to send home cooked foods back to where I, like where I was living in the US. She used to ship them, and she used to take care of me whenever I came here in vacation. So like I was really close to her, but then when she passed away like that, I thought that I like there are many diseases like that, whether it be cardiovascular diseases or cancer or stuff like that. There are diseases which affect a lot of people, and many relatives and close ones pass away. So I thought that maybe as a doctor I could help others not go through that loss. So that's why I wanted to become a doctor. So that's why I wanted to join the medical science. So like when I came here in 11th, I was really new to the process. I was like how many people are like after 10th, you write your CBSE ka boards, and then now you're like, okay, now there's an exam in 2 years. What should I do? So I joined a coaching, and I used to go there. I think the timings were almost 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it was a really intensive coaching. Like they used to say that it's an intensive toppers program or something. They used to give some name to the program, and they used to make sure we sat there and studied. But like I felt that like okay, they did help. They did provide the materials with which I could do better. But I feel like at the end of the day, like whatever I self learned, like after we got lockdown in 12th, everything was at home. So there were online classes, but I used to not go that much. I used to study by myself. I used to read NCERT, and I used to go through the modules by myself. And if there are any doubts, I used to ask my friends and others. And that way I found that I was learning and I could improve more than what I had been in first year. So it was, yeah, I did go to coaching, but towards the end I became more self-learned. So in initial days, I used to score like whenever I from starting, I used to be really strong in biology. Like I had a good memory in that, like whatever I read, I could recall when it came in the paper. But when it came to physics, like I could not solve some, like I was not able to come like the application, or like what are the formula or something that had to be applied, or like some theory logics. I was not able to get that. Like I used to memorize physics as well. I used to be like, okay, I'll memorize this formula, I'll get all the questions. But that's not how it is, because physics is you have to understand the concept, right? I didn't understand that much in first year. So in first year, I used to score like really less. I used to get around, I think, 600s, like the starting 600s. Like I used to be stuck there, because even though how much ever I scored in biology, I would lose very drastically in physics. So that was one of my challenges. And in when it came to 12, like when the topic started becoming more conceptual, like electricity, magnetism and all, I decided that I had to change my approach to physics. So I would start solving more questions. I would start reading the theory more, rather than just focusing on the formulas, because that would help me more in like the long term. It will help me apply the questions. I don't have to keep constantly revise the formulas. I can just read it once and I'll remember it for the rest of like my preparation. So physics, like I used to starting my I used to focus on my teacher's notes. Like my teacher used to give like his notes, how his format used to be is I used to give some 5 or 6 problems or applications per each like subtopic, and those problems would give like a overview of the entire topic. Like let's say in kinematics there will be one acceleration question, there will be one graph based question. So he would give these kind of questions, and from these questions we could get an overview of the entire topic. So I used to refer to, like, I used to make notes, listen in class, I used to make notes, and understood like how, like, the approach to solve that problem. And then I would then go to the module and check, like, the theory behind it. Like, I would not spend too much time on theory, uh, because like in those topics, like for example, let's say laws of motion or kinematics, where theory is not that important, where it's more like application stuff, like I would spend more time on problems. Like I'd like open the module and go through exercise 2, exercise 3, the harder stuff, and try to understand, like if I'm able to get it to my brain, like if I'm able to get, like, okay, this is the way to solve the problem. Like if I'm unable to understand, then I would skip that and I would go on to the next question. Then in the end I would come back, like, I would circle that, like I'd come back to the circle questions, and I'd see, like, okay, why did I not get it? And then once I understand the way to solve it, like I felt like I could solve other questions from that way. So I used to go from my teacher's notes to the module, and then from the module to the harder questions. And then in the end, I, like, towards 12th, like towards end of 12th class, I found a way. Like I used to even do NCERT exemplar. NCERT exemplar is like, some questions are hard, yes, but the other like there's some starting questions, like the multiple choice, multiple correct, like single choice, single correct, and multiple choice, multiple correct. Like those really help me grasp my concept. So NCERT exemplar also helps, and it helps you revise through your NCERT, like whatever is there in physics NCERT, it will revise that as well. So for biology, for sure, like how much ever, like if you go to coaching, like they will try to uh, give a lot of extra information, which, okay, like in their exams you can use that to score. But last in NEET mein, like NCERT is like the Bible. Like all the questions will be from NCERT, and you have to make sure that like each and every line, like you should understand, like you should know that line, why it's given, and you should also make sure you have a grasp on all the diagrams, tables, everything. They could, if it's in NCERT, they could ask it. Like that's in the, that's level playing ground. Everyone gets, like everyone should be proper in NCERT. Like that's like NCERT is a for sure book to read in biology. Like you should have confidence in that. The more amount of revisions you have in it, like the better your score will be. And for chemistry, I would say that, like chemistry, I used to not focus too much on NCERT in the starting, like in 11th grade. But like when I came to 12th, I found that organic, whether it be organic or inorganic, everything was coming from NCERT. Like inorganic, for sure, you have to read from NCERT. Inorganic is like the biology part of chemistry. Like it's, there's values, there's terms, and there's exceptions you have to remember. So you have to do that for like NCERT. Inorganic chemistry is a must read. And but like when you come to 12th organic chemistry, rather than more than mechanisms and all, like the mechanisms are not that important. Like if you remember the direct like reactions, like there'll be some like Colby's reaction, or Riemann-Tiemann reaction. These are all given reactions in NCERT. If you know the mechanism, that's an added plus, but these reactions will be like direct questions in your NEET exam, and like they're given directly in like 12th NCERT book. So organic is also like a really you have to read it in have to read it from NCERT. So inorganic, organic, okay. Then physical, like physical 11th class topics, whatever we have, like atomic state and all, those, like I felt they were a bit less in, like the concepts or whatever, they were a bit less in NCERT, the applications. But so I used to practice them from modules, like the ones that had formula based and stuff, like atomic state or equilibrium, all those questions. But the problem is, like one question actually came, which I got wrong in the final NEET as well. Like one question was, there was one they gave wavelength, and they gave no, they gave frequency, and they gave velocity, and they asked to calculate the wavelength. So that wavelength question, it had, I think, 219.2 meters, 219.3 meters. So I sat there in the exam actually trying to solve it, and I got some 219.2. I was like, okay, okay, I'll just put 219.2. But that question, if you had done NCERT like that in atomic state, that is a direct example question. So if you had done that, you would have gotten it. You would have been like, okay, after round, okay, this is a question that, so you don't have to spend that much time. So I guess like what you could do for those chapters is you could go to the example questions, because they could directly give those as well in NEET. I made a mistake from that, so that's why. For physics, I feel like, whichever coaching books you have, like that could be like whichever coaching you go to, the modules are important. Your teacher's notes, which will include applications which they think are important because they have experience as well. So those teachers' notes, your coaching modules, problems and exercises. And last May, if you want, if you have time, like, but you should make time for it, like before NEET, you should at least go through NCERT exemplar once. And if you want to go through NCERT but like you're not able to find the time, at least read the points to ponder box at the end of each chapter. Like there's a blue box, it has important points that they could ask in like statement type questions, like in assertion reasoning, and it will also help you improve your concept. Like in physics, I heard that you could use like DC Pandey, HC Verma and stuff. I've never used that personally. I just used to stick with my coaching modules, but my coaching modules were based on DC Pandey and some questions of HC Verma. But I guess like it's your wish. Like you can go for those extra books if you want. Just but if you see a question that is like too advanced, then don't spend too much time on it. Like I used to not spend too much time on questions I did not understand because I knew that it wouldn't come in NEET. And chemistry mein I don't think I used any extra books other than NCERT and whatever coaching modules I had. Like I felt that like I guess I used another coaching module. Like I had a like there were some other modules I heard were recommended by other coaching institutes, so I used to refer to them to see if there's any difference. But all the modules are the same. Like they give the same content, like they're derived from the same source. So I guess it doesn't really matter which books you use, but like you just have to make sure you're confident in your NCRT and whatever modules are at your hand. Like whichever ones you can find online or whichever ones you're enrolled in, they should be fine. Like I used to like atomic power, like these inorganic concepts, like I used to remember it by mnemonics, or like for example, like I don't know, if there would be a trend, I would try to make a mnemonic for it. Like mnemonics would help, but if you like if the mnemonic is really long and if you can't remember it, then it's fine. But either mnemonics or like what I used to do is I used to make short notes. I used to have one page with all the trends for like, so like for example, let's say S block elements. So like I'd have all the trends listed in that page. Like I'd have reducing power, I'd had reducing power, the covalent nature, the oxides ka nature, the acidic nature, all that stuff would be in that one page. So I could just like in the end of when I'm revising through like let's say towards the end, towards NEET, I don't have to go to the the NCRT and like check the values and be like, okay, this is going in this trend. Like I would have it all already in one page, and I can look at that and my revision would be done for that one chapter. So I used to do that for S block, P block. So that would help me go through it multiple times and remember like that way. So like I don't know, like I would revise it at least once every day. Like let's say I go to like let's say I take a break, like while I'm drinking chai or something, I would just have that page open. I just go through it and make sure I remember it. That's how I used to remember those kind of trends and irregular exceptions kind of stuff. So starting me, I used to think that 24 hours may I have to spend all the time. Like I have to spend at least 12. Like I used to study some 10, 12 hours. Starting me, like I was like, okay, this is how the more time I spend, the more concept. I mean, the more knowledge I can get, and like, I thought that's how it was. But when my score was like stuck around that same level only, like around the low 600s, I thought that okay, maybe I'm not doing something right. So when it came to lockdown, I spent around, I think, let's say I have 6 hours classes in the morning. I'll be done around 2. Then I used to take a break, and then I used to start again from 4ish, and I used to study till around 10. beach mein, there's dinner and stuff. So I used to study on for 6 to 8 hours. But those 6 to 8 hours were completely focused. Like I would spend it on that day for a particular topic. So let's say that that day that day obviously all subject classes would happen. But let's say I felt that physics was like they covered a really important topic. Let's say magnetism mein they covered bar magnets and like or solenoid. So let's say I wanted to spend more time on that. So I used to spend like let's say 3 or 4 hours on that topic just to understand it. So I used to understand. So whatever topic they taught that day, I used to cover it that day itself so that it would be retained in my long-term memory. So I used to spend like I used to not keep a rigid schedule. Like okay, I'll only do 2 hours physics, 2 hours chemistry, 2 hours bio. Just like whatever I needed that day for that amount of time, I would cover it. And then the remaining, like let's say biology that day, they only taught like dihybrid cause, monohybrid cause. These stuff we've been learning from 10th class. So I used to not spend that much time on it. So I used to give only 1-2 hours for that, and I would invest more time in like topics that require more more attention and time for that. So whatever topics they did teach, so I used to cover it that day. I used to try to at least cover it that day because that would help when I come back to revise. I would at least have like a preformed image of that topic already in my head, so it will be quicker to go through it again. So I recommend studying like 6 to 8 hours, like completely with like no distractions, like no phones, nothing. And after that, you can take breaks for like 2 to 3 hours. That's your wish. Like how I used to watch Netflix, I used to play games. Like I used to, like my mom always used to say that you should study more, you should study more. But like whenever I saw that whenever I did study less, like around 6 to 8 hours, and I used to give myself breaks in between, I found that my score was increasing. Like I used to touch like 700s and stuff, like from 600 went to 700, like that 100 mark gap or the jump came when I was giving my brain enough space, rest, and time to consolidate everything that I learned that day. Like if you bombard your brain with so much information, it'll get overwhelmed, and it'll be harder to recall. That's what I saw. So it's 6 to 8 hours is perfect. It should be more than enough anyway. Yeah. So I used to do many things like I told you, right? So I used to play like during lockdown, I used to play PS4 with my brother, play video games. I used to go outside, play basketball. It's one of my hobbies. Then I used to watch a lot of movies. Like I'm a big movie freak. So I used to, open Netflix, see what new movies or TV shows came on. And I used to just sit down, just relax, grab a cup of tea or, some snacks that my mom made. I used to sit down and just relax for some time, like 1-2 hours, and if I still felt a little bit sluggish, I would either go out to take a walk, or I just take a nap for some 1 or 2 hours, but that's it. I used to feel rejuvenated after that break. So like either like like some fresh air, or some time away from books will help. So like when you're in your break, like whatever I used to preach was that whenever you're in your break, be 100% in that break. Don't think about like my exam is coming up, or like this stuff. Like whenever you're in a break, enjoy that break 100%. Whenever you're studying, do that 100%. So whatever you're doing, your mind should be on that like 100%. So as I told you, so in my second year, when my scores are increasing like 700, I used to get consistent. I thought that okay, my preparation is done. Like there's only so many times I can revise. I thought that okay, I'm saturated, I'm done. So I used to not revise. I used to take extra breaks. I used to not even study. I used to not even open the books. I used to become overconfident. I was like, okay, I've already studied this. Like I already did good in it in one exam. What's the point of studying it for the second exam? Those same questions will come. So that slowly what happened was like my score would slowly start decreasing. Like it would start become like from, let's say, from 700 it would become like 680, or from 680 it would become 650. So when that happened, I was like, okay, I used to get like I used to become like overstressed, and then I used to like overcompensate that by studying more, studying extra hours. But then that became like a vicious cycle. So when NEET came, I was on the phase of okay, I'm doing fine, I'm getting good scores, so that means in NEET also I'll get good. So in the last 1 or 2 weeks, I didn't even study, I didn't even touch the books. I was like, okay, I'll be fine. I used to barely just check one chapter or two chapters. I felt that my preparation was good. but you should never get overconfident. If you get one, just because you get one or two high scores in one exam doesn't mean you'll continuously get that. And just because you got one or two low scores in one exam doesn't mean you'll continuously get that. So the practice test is exactly what it is. It's a practice. It's a mock test. So you should never get overconfident or underconfident from that. That test should be an indicator of what your weak spots are, or like where you still can improve. But there's always room for improvement. There's always room for an extra revision. Like, you should never have that regret key, oh, if I just read this one chapter the day before, I could have gotten that question in NEET. Because I've had a couple of questions that way. I felt that if I revised a bit more, like just a day or like the 1 or 2 weeks before, I would have gotten them. So like the 1 or 2 weeks before the exam is really important. You have to take care of your sleep schedule, your eating, make sure you don't stay up late, and you limit your devices, because you have to sit for 3 hours in the exam, right? You shouldn't be jumpy, you shouldn't be like uneasy, you should be used to that 3 hours. Like, you should, like, your mind should be clear during those 2 weeks before the exam. My mind wasn't that clear, so that's why I felt that I made some mistakes that I could have avoided. Okay, like now everything's online. Like, so first, obviously, get your NCERT books, go through them religiously, and everything's online right now. Like, you can find many coaching, videos set up on YouTube. You can go through them if you're having any doubt in one particular topic and need guidance. You can check online. There are many doubt solving sites. If you have any doubts, you can do that. And Telegram, there are various channels which post the papers of all institutes on it, so you can go through it, open up a paper, check how you're comparing across, like, the country. And like, if you're self-studying, like, there are self-studying students here as well. Like, self-studying students can make it. They, like, one of my friends here, she was a self-studying student from Bhopal. She used to not go to any coaching. She used to just get coaching papers and modules from online and study and do it by herself. And now she's in AIIMS Delhi. So that's definitely, like, it's not impossible to do it. Like, if you put your mind to something, you can definitely do it. The resources and everything, like, that is, they're definitely available at hand. Like, you just have to find them all. Like, everything's online right now. There's nothing that will stop you. This is what I'm saying, if you are dedicated. I started at exactly the starting at 11th. Like, I enrolled into coaching then. I did like I like Even though I did study in 11th, I felt like I did not study effectively. And my actual studying, or like the one, like, where I guess the studying that got me marks, started when I was in 12th. So you definitely get your foundations and all strong in 11th. And from 12th onwards, try to make sure that you revise your 11th, whatever happened in 11th, and your 12th, whatever is going on, like, ongoing, you have that strong as well. So, like, your 12th is your main study year. That's the year that's your main year that will fetch you the marks in NEET. But your 11th, you should at least start getting your foundations proper, reading NCERT, and getting the concepts clear. Like, so I would say, like, as soon as your 10th is done, get started studying for NEET. But in 11th, you don't really need to be that intensive. Like, you sure have to practice and go through NCERT. But 12th is where you have to really step up your game and make sure that you're going through the questions, and you're able to solve them. So, what I used to do in the last 30 days was, okay, so from the starting of first year, I had a error notes, like a error book, in which I used to have all my errors. Like, let's say I got a particular question wrong in biology, I would write that question, I would write the answer, and I'd say why I got it wrong. Like, let's be conceptual, or I forgot the line. Or, like, let's say if it's in physics, like, like, let's say it's a statement, like a such and reason type of question. I'll say, okay, I'll say the answer. Write the question. I'll say the answer, and I'll say, like, okay, my concept wasn't clear in this. So I used to have that error book, and I started that from 11th. So I have 11th and 12th, 2 years worth of test papers errors, that whatever errors I made, I had that. And in the last 1 month, I went through that. So my revision was based through that. So let's say one topic, like, say, I opened the first chapter in biology, that is living world. So I used to go through my error notes, and I see which parts of living world I have made error in the last 2 years. And I see frequently that there one or two questions that I'm making repeatedly wrong. So I'd start with that. So I'd say, okay, this part is weak. So I would start with that. So let's say I got this part, which part is weak? I'd say the scientific name part was weak. So I used to go to the scientific name part of the chapter. I would read that, make sure I understood it. Then I would, go have like a overall reading of the remaining chapter, and make sure I understood it. So I used to read through basis of whatever mistakes I made before. So that would help me, that'll help me like get more confident that whatever weak topics I had, I'm covering them, as well as the strong topics, I'm not spending too much time on them. Like I know which parts I'm strong in. Like for example, let's say in chemistry's 11th organic, I know that the starting part I'm confident, like the effects part or like the reaction mechanisms, I'm confident in that. So I wouldn't waste too much time on it. Rather, I would invest that time in like the organic parts, like let's say the qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis, those parts which are memory based. I would spend more time on that because I would make frequent mistakes in those questions. So I'd say invest more time in those topics which you're weak in. So make sure you strengthen those first, and then you can come back to do like an overall reading towards the end as you're coming towards the exam. Like the last 30 days, like I used to make sure that like in the starting, I focused more on physics, because physics is not really memory based. Like, even if you read it, like let's say 10 days before, you will still remember that question if it comes 10 days after. So I did physics starting, like it's starting one, like the last, I did physics, then I did chemistry, the organic and physical part. Then towards the end, last 2 weeks, I spent more time on biology, 11th and 12th parts, and also inorganic. So I should do multiple revisions. So like let's say one day I do biology, then the next day I do chemistry, inorganic, like say S block. Then the next day I cycle back to some biology, another 12th NCERT chapter. So last 2 weeks, I would say put it towards your memory based chapters, like what are there in chemistry, inorganic, and biology. So, like my starting routine for 11th class, it was like getting up at 5 a.m., going to the coaching at 6, and there would be classes from, I guess, 6 to almost 12, and then we'd have lunch from 12 to 1, and then we'd have something called study hours where we study there in the coaching itself. So 2 to 5 would be one study hour, then 5 to 6 break, and then we have again study hours from 6 to 10:30, and then I come back at 11 and sleep. So that is a really hectic schedule, and that really didn't work for me. So that, like, studying those long hours really don't help. So when it came to lockdown, I made it much more relaxed, and I found my mind operated best in that. So what I used to do was I used to wake up around 8 for the classes. So 8 to 12 would be the classes, and then I'll take the lunch break, and then again classes would be there from around 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, depends. And then I would take a break till about 5:30 or 6. Like I'd take a chai break, or I'd go outside with my brother, play basketball, play video games, whatever. Then I used to start again from 6, and 6 to 10:30 I'd have one study hour session, and I'd have dinner. And then again from around 10, like around from some 11 to almost some 12 or 12:30, I would 12 or 12:30 I'd study. So almost I was getting some 6 hours of study consistently. I was sleeping by max to max 1 or 2, and I was getting up again at 6. I mean, sorry, 8. So I had that 6 hours of sleep, 6 hours of study, and some, in between I had some 2 to 3 hours break. That was the schedule I found was the best for me. Like it was optimal. This depends on like which is good for you. Like like right now in MBBS, I study only in the night and I sleep all of the morning. I don't go to my classes, so that works for me now. But back in my 11, 12 days, I used to sleep and get up not early, too early in the morning. I used to get up around 8 or 9. So I mean, I'd say like it's fine, whatever works. But before, as NEET approaches, make sure you change your like, especially for the night people who study in the night, they should make sure they change their sleep schedule so that by 2. Anyways, the exam will be at the same time. You can't give the exam in the night. The exam will be from 2 to 5. So you should make sure that you reset your sleep schedule so that by 2 to 5 your mind is up. Like let's say you stay up till like some, I don't know, 3 or 4 a.m. and you sleep and you wake up at 12. By the time it's 2 p.m. and you have to go to the exam center, you will be still sluggish because you just woke up. But those people who have woke up at some, let's say 7 or 8, their mind would be somewhat active because it's the middle of the day. So you could study however you want. Like I used to study late into night, like some one or two if needed. But when it came to NEET, I used to make sure like the last 2 weeks before NEET, I used to make sure that I was in bed by 11:30, so that I could get used to being like being active at the early, like in the morning part of the day, because exam is in the afternoon, right? So it's your wish, but as the exam comes closer, just make sure you change your sleep schedule. Yeah, see, like now we're living in a day and age where everyone has access to resources. Like, see, like if you have a dream and you really have the dedication and the willpower to stick to it, I don't think anything can stop you. Like, there are still people who have all the resources and they do not utilize them properly. So, it like there's really like now technology and the internet and how everything, like Geo and all, they made internet accessible to everyone, and now all the resources also available to everyone, and NCERT books are really cheap. So like the resources are available to everyone, if as long as you use them properly, you don't abuse them. Like you use your internet properly, and make sure you use it for educational purposes, and then at the same time, whenever you're enjoying, you can enjoy. But if you manage your time properly, use the proper books, like and you stick to like a few resources, not multiple. Like there are many people that do many books like improperly, like they'll only study one part in one book, one part in another book. Like those people, like they'll tend to juggle, like they'll be juggling. So when it comes to the time of revision, you don't know which book to do properly, because you can't cover multiple books. Like when you come to the last 1 month, last 2-3 weeks, you cannot go through that many books in that short span of time. So you have to only stick to one book. The main book is obviously NCERT. You have to base all the extra stuff around that. So when it comes to that, you have to only stick to NCERT. Like you should only make sure that your final revision is from NCERT, so that that financial accessibility, like, well, in towards the end, everyone will study from one book, NCERT, and like the resources and all, like they would be available online for free. So I guess, like as long as you have the dedication and you have that desire to do well in life and succeed, I think nothing can stop. Like there are some financially, let's say, like and one of my friends here, like he came from village, he self-studied by himself, like he self-studied, and now he's studying here in AIIMS, and he gets almost like he's like the almost like the topper of the batch. So like I don't think he, like you know where your family background is, or like where you're from, really matters. It only matters if you study, and you study properly and study smartly. Study doesn't mean just like study for like all the day, or like like don't have a life. Study properly, and make sure you have like a balanced life, balanced schedule. That will really help in getting that extra edge. That's it. So the campus is like, it's really big. Like the hostels, like the first we got double rooms, so the rooms are really big as well. I had to share it with a roommate. So this is my first time, staying away from home. It was first time staying in a hostel, so it felt really new. And the thing is, like everyone in your batch is feeling that new feelness, that away from home, that staying in hostel, that college experience, waking up at 9, going to the classes. See, in college, no one really forces you to study. There's no parents saying, okay, now you have to get up, come on, it's 9 o'clock, get up and study. So those people who are used to that, they'll all of a sudden their schedule will change, and they'll feel like, okay, what am I doing in college? But slowly you'll get used to that. Like slowly you'll get used to getting that motivation within yourself to study. Like whenever there's exam coming up in 2 weeks, you'll be like, okay, now it's time to open the books at least. So then you'll get that, like you'll get that motivation from within yourself. Like I think the first dissection I had here, it really interested me. Like I was like, okay, the body, the human body, like first it's definitely scary, you'll get used to it. But you, like after some time, it'll get interesting. Like the topics which they teach in the classes, you see like many subjects or many topics, they'll collide with each other, like they'll combine with each other. Like whatever you study in 11th and 12th, like see physics, chemistry, and biology, like you see that the topics are kind of separate, like they don't intertwine with each other. But here what happens is in MBA, like whatever you learn in anatomy in one day, the next day in physiology you'll get that same anatomical basis but the physiological aspect of it. So let's say in anatomy you're learning about the brain, like the different the different anatomical parts of it. The next day in neurophysiology you'll learn the physiology of it, like let's say the physiology of brain waves. And also those two together, like when they combine, like you will get like a really holistic aspect, and like you'll feel nice about what you're studying. It's nice. And like there's many like compared to your 11th and 12th, here you have more like opportunities to pursue your hobbies, like you can go outside more with your friends, you can enjoy so like it's like a well deserved break, like you can be independent, you learn how to be independent after your coaching. It depends on each college. In AIIMS, we don't have that much ragging. It is there initially for like the first 2 months. And some people, they usually don't, like out of fear of that, they don't come out of their rooms and all. But it is not that intensive. It's like the seniors are doing it, I guess, to bring you out of your bubble, because you're coming from a really sheltered place. When you come to college, you don't know what to do. The seniors will first it'll seem scary and all. Even I went through that initial phase 1 month, but calling everyone sir and ma'am and stuff. But after a while, like after 1 or 2 months, you get used to them, you get closer to them, through various incidents. And like then you'll feel closer and you can ask them for help later on. So like after our freshers, we don't have to call our seniors. Like this is one like special thing names after our freshers, which is after 1 or 2 months of the period. Like we don't have to call our seniors by sir or ma'am. We can just call them, refer to them by name, or you can just call them by, or like like bro, that kind of stuff. So like in that way you feel closer. Like let's say you talked with them more, you interacted more with them during that phase. Then after freshers, you can ask them for help. Like they really help a lot. Like for example, before an exam, if you don't know, like in MBBS there are many books to study from. There are many many questions they can ask, many important topics. So they really don't, you really don't know which one to cover. So the seniors, since I've already went to it before once, they will give you advice. So like we call it fatte here. So they'll make sure that the juniors, they get, it's like a passing down of knowledge. So like whatever their seniors are given to them in fatte, they will give to their juniors in fatte. So it's like, we're looking out for each other. So the seniors will look out for the juniors, and the juniors get close to the seniors in that way. And like there's no senior junior, like the senior junior culture is not toxic. I guess it is toxic in some colleges, but here definitely it's not. Like it has its benefits, it has its drawbacks, but you definitely, like getting close to your seniors, interacting with them is really helpful. Like even like you have to get those communication skills, which will help even in the further studies of medical. Like in medical, you have to learn how to respect your seniors, like in residency, and those seniors will be the ones helping and giving you work. So you have to get used to that. So it does help. Like the dragging, even though it's kind of scary at start, like in limits it's fun, and it does help you get closer to your seniors. Yeah, so I guess NEET is coming up this May 7th. So for those who right now in this last week, if they are like confused on what to do, just check, like there's no point of giving too many exams right now, uh like just make sure your topics, your fundamentals are covered. Go through NCERT as many times as you can, especially for biology and inorganic. And as much as for any other subject, like if you have the time, go through it. Like for physics, go to the points to pointer, go to the examples. Those examples can be asked and directly will come in NEET. So make sure you manage your time wisely, and you don't have to, it's not about studying more than everyone else. It's about studying properly and making sure you understand the stuff. And this, like these study habits which you pick up in 11th and 12th, they will help you in college, because in college the person who studies 10 to 12 hours is not, I mean, they will not really have much of a life outside. Like you have to do other stuff as well. So you have to get used to studying smartly. That's the main thing. This, like you should know which topics are important. Yourself, you should know yourself, like which topics are important, which topics you have to focus on. So make sure you go through as many revisions as you can. Don't get overconfident about anything or underconfident. And it's never too late to start. Like even if you're starting now, just go through NCERT properly. Like it's never too late to start anything, and you should, if like you should stick to you should stick to whatever you've done before, like whatever you've studied before. Like let's say for one topic you only studied NCERT, only study NCERT for that, like before NEET. Don't introduce new topics, like don't go to Truman's biology the week before NEET. That won't help you. So stick to what you've done before. Be confident in yourself, you'll be fine. And go through as many revisions as you can. Try to make short notes. Like if you're starting your NEET journey, like in 11th or 12th, try to make short notes. Okay, that's important, so that way towards the end of NEET, like when NEET is coming up, you can go through those, and that will help you. Try to make short notes, try to make your error notes, like which is after an exam, and analyze all the mistakes you made. After a mock exam, analyze all the mistakes you made, and write the question, the answer, and why you think you got that wrong. And that will help you towards the end. You can see which topics you are still weak in, which topics you frequently make errors in, so that way you can focus on that in the last one or 2 months, because those are the topics which you'll again get wrong in NEET. I have made the same mistakes. In the last 1 or 2 months, I did not go through the error notes that perfectly. I got overconfident. So never get overconfident, and make as many revisions as you can, and focus on your weak topics, and make them strong. And yeah, you should, like, see, it's not impossible to get perfect scores. Like people have done it in, like, from the last 2 years. Like you can get a perfect score, but that preparation or that level of understanding should be there. And it is a bit of luck also. Like let's say you studied that chapter just the day before NEET, and they asked a specific question from that chapter, then you will obviously get it. But those people who have not studied the chapter, they won't get it. So it's a bit of luck on your side as well, but it's not only just luck. It's your hard work and dedication and your preparation, all the 2 years that have led up to that instance. So don't get scared. It's, in the end of the day, it's just an exam, just a score. Like it does not it kind of does determine your life, because it's your 5 years of medical college. But there are different pathways to success. Like just because you've have not done this well in this exam doesn't mean that you won't do well in life. Like it's just one pathway to, that's one pathway that opens up many doors. So MBBS is that, basically.